are recording. Okay. All right. So once again, you want to make sure that you have something to take notes, whether it is an electronic device or just good old pen and paper works just fine as well. In your journal, please turn your cameras on if you are able to. And then don't forget to introduce yourself in the chat for those of you that are just now jumping in. Okay, announcements. Don't forget, every single Monday in the Millionaires Club Facebook group, we have Money Mondays. So that takes place at 12 noon Central Standard Time on Mondays in the Facebook group. Don't um don't miss it. If you've missed any of the previous ones, then you can go back and watch them. They are all still on the page. Okay. So thank you guys so much for jumping on those. Those sessions are completely different from these sessions. Okay. So I just want to make sure that it's clear that what takes place on Monday is not a replay of whatever we talked about on Sunday. They are completely different. They are more lunch and learn format. The intention is for us to give you bite-sized information, okay? So they only last typically somewhere between 25 and 45 minutes, but it is to give you bite-sized, practical information that you can leave and implement immediately to begin to see a financial change in your life, okay? So come and eat the money sandwich with us on Mondays. Carolyn said they are amazing, and she jumps on consistently. I'm telling you, people that jump on to the Money Mondays and implement the information are seeing results. Okay, so make sure your name is in that number and jump on. Mark your calendars for the next club chat. It's going to take place on Sunday, June 25th. You do not want to miss that. That will be our last session for June. And then we do have the prophetic business intensive coming up. Okay. When I turn it over to Dr. Jewel, I'm just going to let her just completely go in on what you can expect to receive from the prophetic business intensive. You want to make sure you get your tickets. I'm not sure how many are left. I think it's just a few left, but I do just want to say that there are moments and times and seasons and shiftings in your life that you have to move on. So there are times when things come up and it may look familiar. It may look like, oh, well, I heard about that before. I saw that before. It's not the same. Trust me, it is not the same information. Now is not the same time. You are not the same person that you heard it. Even if you do hear something that is similar to something you heard in the past, your mindset has shifted. You're in a different place. Hopefully, you're more hungry than you were before. And so, all of those things together, you just want to get in the habit of moving out on opportunity when it presents itself, because this exact opportunity will not present itself in this way ever again. And so you don't want to miss out on that. You want to always position yourself to succeed. Dr. Jewel is definitely anointed to bring and merge the worlds of the prophetic and the business together. She walks in a specific anointing for that. Okay, so you want to make sure that you spend that time with her June 19th through the 23rd. It is virtual, so no matter where you are in the world, you can participate. If you miss any of those sessions, then because you registered, you will have access to the replay. Okay. All right. And let me see. Okay. Thank you. And Dr. Jewel, I am turning it over to you.
All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Asha. I appreciate you welcoming everybody on the call. Do me a favor, you guys. Go ahead and look at the participants, see who's on here. And if you do not see your accountability partner, go ahead and shoot them a quick note to tell them to make sure that they jump on this call, because this is what partnership is about, making sure that you're here so you can hear what you need to hear and get what you need to get. So you guys know how I like to start everything is with prayer. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Father, we thank you so much, Lord, for this June 2023. that you saw fit that we would be in the earth for such a time as this, to make impact, to be effective, to be productive, to advance, to go forward, to experience supernatural progress emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. God, I thank you, Lord, right now, and I speak that this will be the absolute best Christmas of our entire lives. I thank you, Lord, now that these next 6 months will bring great profit, that the last decade of our highest profitable points, that these next 6 months will supersede all prior goals in Jesus' name. Now, angels, I charge you now to go forth and bring these things to pass. Support every woman, give them the resources, give them the insight, the intel, the intelligence, the boldness, the clarity, the decisiveness. God, craft their vision and their dream, make it bigger, stronger, and faster than ever before. And God, make our way easy. I thank you, Lord, that we make 10 times more and work 10 times less, that we're at the right place at the right time, hearing the right things and sing the right things. I thank you for exposing us to opulence and extravagance, and we call it into our lives now in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, all right, all right. Woohoo! We receive all that goodness, all that goodness. I'm telling you, I feel like the road runner. I've been on the go and I love it. Where was I? I literally just got back to Nashville early this morning, had an early flight. I was in Detroit this past weekend. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, so we'll move along. So first, let me go back to the prophetic conference, or a prophetic business intensive, actually. It's something that God put on my heart to do a couple weeks ago. So I would say that this year has been full of a lot of changes, a lot of challenges, a lot of things that I did not expect. And then it's been full also of a lot of like surprises, opportunities. And so I would say that the challenge and the opportunities have been, right there. And I will also say that I'm also probably more fulfilled and creative than I've ever been. And that I would say that the last, 5 years of my life was me in training for what I'm doing today and how I'm handling things today. And so this prophetic business intensive is really designed to help you to live out of your spirit and not your mind. Because when you have a door open for you, a lot of times that door, especially right now, it's a door that has full of opportunity, full of disruption, full of innovation, full of creativity. And though those words sound spectacular and wonderful, it also causes one to have a ton of flexibility. And I think that you come into a place where you realize that there's a lot that you don't know, that you need to know, and that you will be learning along the way. And so my internal navigation has been largely at work, probably more than it's ever been before. And I really think that in order for us to come into everything that we've been called to come into, that we are going to have to really tune in to that instinct, tune into that navigation of what should I do now? How should I turn now? How do I handle this now? And using any bit of pressure to be able to produce your potential, because there are parts of you that have been dormant that you didn't know were dormant, but now you'll be put in a position where you're going to have to activate. You're going to have to activate that potential. You're going to have to probably go some places that you haven't gone before, and do some things that you haven't done before. And then you're going to have to learn how to really know what to ignore and learn what you really are going to have to hone into. So I'm going to, over that 5 days, really be sharing some things that I have not shared before. Just, I don't know, not that it was a secret, but just stuff I didn't share. Some of it is like fresh off the press. and then some of it may, go back to maybe the beginning of the year or last year. And so I'm going to share some of those things with you because I think they're going to help you tremendously navigate. And when I say knowing what not to ignore, and I don't want to go too far into this because these are things I'm going to be talking about in the intensive, this doesn't mean that you're ignoring someone, but sometimes there are circumstances in your life that aren't anybody else's fault that you have to learn, I need to ignore that because that's not what I want. In other words, I don't want to connect to that. And I'm going to definitely be talking about how not to connect to disappointment, how not to connect to discouragement, and how to only connect with what you want. Remember that money always follows vision. And the clearer your vision is, and the more detailed your vision is, the more likely that money is going to follow it. And so it's interesting because whatever you study, whatever you teach, you will have to walk out, right? So we're going to be, that particular prophetic business intensive is really designed to help you to scale and scale I'll put it like this, in multiple dimensions where you'll be able to scale like supernaturally, if you will. And so it's going to be really good. We're going to be fasting tomorrow. We're fasting for 24 hours, no food, liquid only. The Bible actually tells us that some of these things come through fasting and prayer. And so fasting helps to bring a level of precision, and brings a level of clarity in your thought life and what you should be thinking about, and giving you really clear direction. And then on the 19th through the 21st, we're going to do a 3 full day fast. No food at all, with just liquids. You know, you can do shakes and stuff like that on those 3 days. And so the prophetic business intensive will be meeting in the morning at 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern. It'll be 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so those of you that know that you're supposed to be a part of that, definitely make sure that you register for that class. Because I am definitely walking a lot of this out every day, and it is always full of excitement. This weekend, we were in Detroit, and I was up there with Tabaverse. We did an overview presentation of hard asset education, and then for 2 days, and then we went out in the field and looked at properties. As a matter of fact, one of those properties was $35,000, and I just got a phone call from the owner. They're going to drop it to $25,000. There is a tenant already in it that's paying $700 a month. And our mortgage specialist said, do you think that, she said, a lot of the people in Tabaverse are kind of bougie. You think they're afraid when they see these properties and they're trash? I was like, no, they're learning how to look through things with an investor mindset. So anyway, that's another opportunity that just happened. But while I was up there, it was just, reaffirming why we want to make sure that we build a strong portfolio in hard assets. As most of you know, many of you know, I was heavily involved in crypto, and I still am, and I'm still a believer of crypto, and particularly Bitcoin and Ethereum, and particularly I think we all need to be on autosave with that and saving it. But a lot of those cryptocurrency platforms went through a liquidity squeeze. And so, and I saw that starting to happen the end of last year. And so it was just a reminder that, if your goal is to build 7 figures a month and, digital asset ROI, you need to be doing 7 figures a month in hard asset or ROI. Remember, there's a start for everything. So your first tenant might just be paying you $700 a month, or maybe $1,500 a month, or maybe $2,000 a month. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. The point is that you start. There's the only way to build wealth is to start. Everything has a start. And so I am really, really, really passionate. I feel very strongly that you need to be building a very strong ROI out of the ground. As my mentor and good friend likes to say, Kim Kiyosaki, get that ROI out of the ground. You can have all those other platforms, but make sure that ROI is coming out of the ground. And that way you don't have to worry about your apartment building disappearing tomorrow. Also, I had a lot of Zooms this weekend that are going to bring the club more opportunity. We actually had a great Zoom the other night. It was really late. Camille was supposed to be paying attention to the numbers, but she got sleepy. It was midnight. But the bottom line is this particular opportunity is going to be paying about 15 to 30% per month on your money. with a 5K minimum. And remember, everything is a risk. I do like what I saw with what they're doing. Yeah, so I'm going to be investing, and I'll probably do a separate call with you guys. Look for that maybe to happen tomorrow or Tuesday, possibly, where you can get on and just kind of hear. This is a private group. It's not a business. Honestly, I probably would not recommend partnering with a ROI platform that's connected to network marketing. The SEC is coming after all of these entities in a very strong way. So unless it's like a private fund, private group, but the minute they get to a certain point, the minute they get big, too well known, spotlight, it's just a matter of time that they're going to begin to be hit with lawsuits trying to stop them and shut them down. So that's my recommendation on whether or not you want to have somebody trading for you or any kind of ROI promise attached with a network marketing model. I would probably say steer away from it. It'll probably have a shelf life of maybe 6 months to a year. And, it's possible it could go longer than that, but just from what I've seen, we are not really having the consistency with that network marketing model. So that's something to be mindful of. I love it. Ms. Carter's like, I'm waiting for that call. Some of y'all just stay ready. I love it. So yeah, Detroit was great. It was full of a lot of opportunity. We basically talked about, we were helping people get their credit together. People were getting funded with the banks that we have connection to. And then of course we went out and looked at properties, and all that was pretty amazing. I'm going to ask Keita and Mill to come on and talk a little bit about what some of their takeaways were from that weekend. I'm having this discussion on the club chat because exposure is everything. Sometimes you don't know what you want till you've been exposed to it. One of our ladies said, basically, she said, 3 months ago, she wasn't even looking at being an investor. Now she owns 3 homes. So a lot of what you will walk into is what you have been exposed to. And so always stay open to exposure because it's one of the best ways to grow. Okay. The other thing is I'm going to show a video tonight in a minute of a young woman that came to this country, an immigrant, and in 2 years built an $80,000 a month portfolio in hard assets. Her story is amazing. We're not going to listen to all of it. I'll probably start it and then stop it, start it and stop it a little bit, and then we'll move on. Okay. So I would say, Mill, Keita, are you all on? I just wanted to kind of hear what were some of your takeaways from the weekend where hard assets is concerned.
Hey, you guys. Good evening. Good evening. The weekend was absolutely amazing. And so I would definitely encourage each of you who are part of the club, as we launch and do these different field trips in those particular areas, definitely come out to hear, because it's one thing to tune in on, these sessions on Zoom, but it's different being in the room. And a lot of people have experienced major shifts because they are able to be in the community. And that was one of the biggest takeaways for me this weekend, being in a wealth community like the Millionairess Club, but posturing yourself to be present physically a lot of times will cause a lot of major shifts. So this weekend was awesome to really hear the testimonies of people, to be able to walk through the properties, hear from experts in the area that's showing you what to look for, that's showing you how they think, not telling you how to think, but showing you different ways of looking at things, because it's now positioning us to trust our own financial gut, number one, but also causing us to get an eye for investing on how we want to move. When we were driving back from Detroit, we were kind of talking about what our goals were with regards to how many doors do we want, because at one point it was like, I want a property, but then through this community, it made me look at it like I want multiple properties, because when I get to multiple properties and these properties pay for my lifestyle, and that was the game changer for me, being college educated, having my master's degree, I've been trained to think and move a certain way. And that's a sidebar, while the prophetic business school is extremely important, because a lot of times we have formal education, where they teach us do this, this, this. Many people think you got to have a business plan to be successful in business. Like, prophetically, if you're leading by the Holy Ghost, your business could be thriving without a business plan. I've seen it personally, right? And so what happens is it allows you to get around free thinkers, growth mindset people, people who don't have a linear thought process. Because when you think linear, you just think A to B. But when you think differently, it allows you to expand your vision. And so this weekend was so powerful because, like, we sitting on a gold mine in Detroit. We were talking about that, like literally a gold mine in Detroit. And while there are so many places you can buy real estate, Detroit is a great place to start and consider, because literally, regardless of your financial status at this point, you could posture yourself to own something. There is no more land being created. So we don't get ourselves in position to own now. And sometimes people will say things like, I'm not ready yet. That's not what I'm looking for right now. But the thing is, there may not ever be a point of being ready. You have to just position yourself to do it. Many people thought, hey, I'm going to buy a house in 3 years. And then what did you see? The house that you wanted 3 years ago is now double the price. You see what I'm saying? So think about what that looks like from an investing standpoint. You're sitting back because what happens is you kind of sit and think in your way. And that was one of the things one of the educators talked about. He said, when you come and you share what your plan, what your goal is, if you come and share your goal, there are other people in the community around you that can help you formulate a plan of action to accomplish the goal. But when you come with the goal and you say, this is how it has to be done, or this is the way I'm doing it, and you keep yourself from being open, you can cause yourself to hit a ceiling because you're not open to allowing other people to help give advice or their supply where your goal is concerned to help accelerate what you're trying to do. And so that was one of my biggest takeaways, because there are things that I want to accomplish. Like, I want to purchase a home. So in my head, it's like, purchase a home. But the reality is, from listening in my community, it's better for me to secure some investment properties first, so those investment properties can fund my home. You see what I'm saying? But I wouldn't have gotten that from without being in community. I wouldn't have gotten that just being in my own way. It would have just been like, okay, Camille, you want this $1 million home, so get the $1 million home and then figure out how to pay it, versus Camille, get some investment properties that's creating cash flow, then get the $1 million, $2 million home, and let the other people who are renting your properties pay for your home. And so that's the shift in the mindset that I was able to obtain. And so while it may not look the way I want it to look, it's pretty bossy to say you got 10 real estate properties. You see what I'm saying? It's dope to say I got this mansion, but it's dope to say, yo, I got 10, 20 real estate properties. I'm cash flowing this, and all this is paying for the life that I desire. One of the educators also talked about how, any life you desire to live is not hard to live if you think the right way. So you get into those, the hard asset piece or whatever, you may want the Bentley Bentayga or the Rolls Royce Cullinan, but now what do you say? How many doors do I need to pay for that? Exactly. And then when you shift, now you allow, that's when you get to that real point of freedom, when your assets are paying for your lifestyle. So that's all I got.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's really, really good. And I think Keita is on the road. I don't know if she can talk right now. But...
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? You might hear, the kiddos and things like that talking in the background, but wanted to get on really, really quick just to kind of insert what, I actually got this weekend. And just for those that, for you all that are listening, I'm telling you guys, it is going to be so important to make sure that, and I'm seeing it like I've never seen it before, to really take advantage of the tables that you have access to, that you sit amongst. opportunities whenever they are presenting themselves. Because I think about, Dr. Drew, you talk about all the time, the 1% of the wealthy. If you really think about the way the movement and the way the 1% of the wealthy actually move, they move totally different. They think totally different. And so we're confessing and we're believing and we're speaking, that we are the 1%, that we think like it. So it's like, whenever an opportunity presents itself or whenever I'm in a position, I don't want to sit back and talk myself out of something that I've been praying for, that I've been believing for. And when it shows up because it doesn't look like where you think it should be, then you discount it. And that can be the very thing. So I actually, this weekend, listening to even a lot of the educators being on the front line to be able to see, how these investors are actually moving and how they think. Like, an investor mindset ain't thinking about, let me hold up a ton of capital. They're not let me keep a ton of money in a bank. They're taking that capital and they're putting it into work. They're putting it into vehicles that's causing them to be able to grow money. They're not thinking the antiquated, the old way of being able to generate money. They are generating money because money is making money for them. So when they look up versus having X amount of dollars in the bank, they're using those X amount of dollars and it's actually cash flowing for them, and it's producing way more if it was just sitting in the actual bank. And so to hear people that are flowing in a very strong financial, from an investment standpoint, was really, really eye-opening. It was like, okay, just thinking totally different, than the norm. And so I'm telling you guys, what's about to get ready to come up the pipeline, lean all the way in, lean into the intensive, get connected into that, because a part of what Dr. Jewel has to offer and what she does, it is stemmed from prayer. It is stemmed from, his wisdom, his insight. And I'm telling you, she's going to teach you and show you exactly how to really be able to lean in from that place, to be able to, when as soon as you hear it, you move, you respond. Because see, this is the thing. We can know all day long, I've been praying for this, I'm wanting this. And then if it pops up and it shows up, we still talk ourselves out of the very thing when we should have actually moved. That was the open door, because it's not going to always look the way we think. And God is like, I just presented a door for you. I just opened the door, the very thing you've been believing for. And she's going to show you how to trust the gut. She's going to show you how to move from a different place, from a different space, right? Then instead of just taking you out of the intercessor norm and putting you into the marketplace within it. Like, it's major. And so when I tell you, just to be able to walk into a property, $49,000. She just mentioned now the guy sent $25,000 with a tenant in it, already cash flowing $700. Like, that right there should be like, listen, I need to be jumping on this $25,000 deal, because that's a steal. Now you walking straight in rent roll. And the thing about it is that we're able to sit at tables with people that could literally position us to be able to like hold our hand and take us to places that we might not ever even get into, but and we're just sitting back waiting. Not this group of people, but I'm just saying in general, you get what I'm saying? And so it was just such a blessing to be able to really see it. I'm telling you guys, a lot of stuff is about to get ready to hit the Millionairess Club. A lot of things are about to happen. Like Mill said, even get to these places that we are in. I'm telling you, there was things that I saw that I just even know that I desired to have until I actually got into the environment. And it literally blew my mind. And I was like, oh, I grabbed a hold of it. Like, I want to do that. Oh, I want that. And so just imagine, you can look up and say, I may not want any doors right now, but then when you get in the environment, you're going to be like, I want 10 doors. I want 20 doors. I want. You see what I'm saying? Because now you're seeing different, because you have actually got into the environment and got connected to people that had your answer. We start hearing from other individuals that was able to give us $1 million grants as long as you had this. And I'm just like, man, my mind is like, these are the tables that we sit at. These are the opportunities, all because we are positioning ourselves to sit at the table. So ladies and gentlemen, continue to position yourself to have a seat at the table. Do not remove yourself from the table when you have been given access to pull your seat up. So that's all I have, Dr.
That's really good. That's really good. Example, I was telling Keita, when you find a house or a multifamily, if it's a lot next to it, Melissa, you can reach out to the city and see if they would sell you that lot. Sometimes they won't even sell it to you. They'll give it to you and you can tell them, I want to make it a park, throw some swings on it, put a nice plaque, name it after your family or your child or whatever. So there's just a lot of creativity, and these cities are looking to partner with people in this. I'm going to play a little bit of this YouTube video. This is an African young woman who came over here to the United States of America, sleeping on a dirt floor. Her story is pretty amazing. And in 2 years, she's built a hard asset portfolio that's making her, at the time of this video, about 80,000 a month. She's probably just broken 100,000. We're actually talking back and forth on Instagram. I'm going to have her on here, but just to hear her story, she's just obsessed with growing wealth. And business is great. Having businesses are great, but there's nothing compared to having hard assets, because people are always going to need a place to stay. And so this is why when you pull back the cover on the wealthy, on the multiple millionaires, billionaires, all of them have hard assets in their portfolio. So let's go ahead and watch a little bit of this young woman's story, which is pretty amazing. And I hope it inspires you the way that it did me.
Show 7.
My family, and yeah, I grew up in that small village. I lost my mom when I was 2, and I lost my dad when I was 11. So I was raised by my elder sister, and yeah, there's a little background about me.
So what was it like growing up there? Most of us have not traveled to the continent of Africa, much less where you're from. Tell us a little bit about what daily life was like.
Yeah, so it's more of, we live in extended family. So when when my mom passed, I was 2. When my dad passed, before my dad passed, he was really sick. So my sister was forced to get married. So she took me with her, and my elder brother was like 4 or 5 years older than me. So I grew up as an orphan in her in-laws' house. Yeah, it was hard growing up in an extended family that you don't belong in, because usually we live in families. So let's say a family member, like a husband, has maybe 4 wives or 5 wives, and they have kids. So that household is all, let's say the last name is Green. It's like Green Kunda, meaning everybody in the house is Green. So you coming in with a different last name, it's like you don't belong. There's some activities that you will not participate in because you're not a child of that household.
So it was clear growing up from an emotional standpoint, you were a stranger in a sense in the house. I mean, they knew who you were, but you were not welcome with open arms as if you were one of the kids. There was preferential treatment. You had at a very young age, you had to experience a lack of control and the pain that comes from not really having control over the outcome of your own life.
Yes, basically.
So, I mean, you were thrown into a situation you had very little control. Sounds like there was a lot of pain. Did you have your own room? Were you sharing a room with other people? What was that like?
No, so sometimes I would come in, like as a child, just playing with other kids outside, and I just run in to go drink water, and there's a meeting about me and my brother being returned. So I always thought, oh, so we don't belong here. And it really hurts as a child. I saw this meme saying on TikTok the other day, and it clicked to me. I was like, this is how it feels. Like, you don't know what pain is until you live in somebody's house who doesn't really want you there. And I was like, that was me. That clearly explained my life. So I wasn't allowed to sleep on the bed, so I would lay on the floor. And when I say floor, I mean like sand floor, not like cement, not like carpet or anything. So me sleeping on the floor, an 8-year-old, 9-year-old girl, I would have bed bugs. Sometimes worms would come and they would touch me, and I'll just wake up. So my brother made me this flashlight, you guys call it here. And I'll just use batteries there. And at night, I'll just wake up and I'll kill the bed bugs on the wall. So I guess from there, I was always obsessed with houses, because I never really had my father's house. Sometimes when I visit for holidays, we would not eat sometimes. Sometimes we eat once a day. And sometimes when I go, one time, it was the rainy season, the summer holidays. And we would have to get up because the water was coming inside the house. That's how poor we were. So even though the family that I lived with are not rich, still a village, but it's a better village where it's better than my dad's condition.
Yeah.
So me laying down there as a girl, I always say I'm obsessed with houses. So when I see friends whose houses after school, I like to go to their houses, and I always wondered when I'm gonna get this house, when I'm gonna buy a house. But I didn't think buying multiple houses. I was just saying, just the idea of having a house.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned in that TikTok. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Yamu, for sharing.
I'm sorry.
No, no, no. You mentioned in that TikTok that when you're not wanted in the home, I think that's when you experience the pain, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm wanting to know, was that really the moment, that inspiration where you're like, I am going to find my own place one day. I'm going to have my own bed. Was that sort of the beginning of your real estate dreams, or did it come later on in life?
Yes, that's where it started. I always knew one day I'm gonna make it, and one day I'm gonna buy a home. Like that was my dream to say one day I also have a home and a bed, something like a house of my own.
Is that your why? Is that today your why? Is like the reason you do all this is basically to fulfill that dream?
I have multiple wives. But that's one of them.
What else you got? I want to know.
Poverty. I don't want my child to go through any of those.
Ultimate house hack arbitrage.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you saw that happening, and instead of thinking, well, I'm being ripped off or that's not fair, they're charging more than they have to, you thought, oh, I want to be in that person's position. I want to own the asset and I want to be renting out to people, right?
Oh yeah. I was like, this is amazing idea. I was like, I'm gonna do this one day. So I always had, even when I was starting searching for my first property, I was looking for a property that has more than one unit. So that way I could do more rooms too.
I love that. See, your data scientist brain was like, okay, the pattern that I need to catch on is a property with more than one unit, more than one bedroom, a lot of spaces that can be rented as opposed to a pretty kitchen or a nice backyard or, you know, the things that everybody else is, oh, I love the oak tree in the front yard. You're like, no, there's no space in an Excel spreadsheet for an oak tree. I need to see the place that I could get the most beds into this unit. I love that. When did you start trying to invest in real estate yourself?
Yes. So after I graduated, of course, I don't have any savings, but I don't have student debt, right? And of course, coming as an international student, you get a social security, but I never knew anything about credit because I lived in a school setting. I work for the school. I go home, study, come back, work for school, go home, study, come back, go to class. That's all I knew. So there was no introduction to credit or anything, credit score. So I have a debit card that the bank gave me that I get my $1,000 from. That's it. So I don't have any credit. But again, when I graduated, I had a job to work for the CDC in Atlanta. So I moved from Illinois to Atlanta, Georgia, to work for the CDC as a data scientist. First couple of months, I started September 2019. Just a few months later, COVID happened. But before COVID happened, I've already started doing my research because I was like, I've never made that much money that I had, right? At that time, I have saved up $8,000. I'm like, I'm ready. By then, because I love reading. So I went and said, okay, my first paycheck, of course, I have to send money back home. And as an immigrant, you can ask any immigrant, especially from Africa, if you travel to the US or travel abroad, you are like the ticket. So everybody depends on you. Every month you have to take care of your family and stuff. I'm like, this is not going to work out where I just work and send money and that's it. But when does it stop? And when do I save? So I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all what I save and then start investing in real estate. And of course, before thinking of, I already knew I would do real estate, but I don't have the knowledge. So what I did was I Googled, went on YouTube, and I see Bigger Pockets coming up a lot. So this is, of course, and David and Brandon, every Wednesday, you guys have this event that you do. That's me in there every day listening. At work, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm cooking, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm in the train going to work, I'm listening to a podcast. So by the time I was already had so much information, I said, okay, they said the best way to get funding, of course, funding was number one, is to go and work with local banks. I was like, okay, I cannot afford Georgia, of course, at the time. It's like, let me start with where I saw what I wanted to do, which is Illinois. So I looked at properties in that area, the same city that I went to college in, Springfield, and I wasn't finding properties. So I called different cities, different banks in the city, made a list, and I called each of them. Every day I'll make different calls. And I get a lot of no's, but I'm used to getting no's. I didn't let that stop me. So I finally got one bank to listen to me. And I said, I just started working CDC. This is how much I make. This is just my base salary, but I'm going to get more as I go. And this is how much, 8,000 is what I saved up. I'm ready. I'm buying, looking for properties in this private. So I already have my document and my speech ready for when I call what I say.
And how many banks did you call, Yamu?
It's a lot of banks. I think I listed all of that. I just went on Google and I listed all the banks. I called a
Okay.
lot of banks. I cannot even tell the number. I called every bank in that city and around the area.
And then finally you got one that would hear your story.
Yeah, so she actually she wasn't the well, she's the vice president of the bank now, but before she wasn't. So she was like, well, I know you got all these great things and you know how to analyze properties and you know what you want, what aspect you want to go to. However, you don't have any credit score. What you can do is go get a Discover credit card, Capital One credit card, and build your credit score. And then you can come back in 6 months or like in 1 year. So I was like, okay, at least she get to listen to me. And then I was like, you know what? Because every day I'm analyzing this. I'm on Bigger Pocket analyzing this every day. I was like, I got this. Just give me a chance. So what I did was I was like, this is what I would do. I found a property that was listed for 52,000. It was the owners were going through a divorce and they were desperate to sell, right? They wanted to get rid of it. They wanted to separate and do all of that stuff. So I was like, okay, found this property. I went under contract even before approaching the lady. So I approached her back and say, I found this property. It's 52,000. It's 3 units. 2 bedrooms are rented for $750. 1 bedrooms are rented for this much. Even if only 1 unit is rented, my mortgage would not be. I have still cash flow. So I wrote the numbers down because I ran it in the calculator and everything makes sense. So I submitted it to her, and then I called her. I submitted it by email first, and then I called her. She was like, you know what? We'll give you a chance. And then they were like, we'll finance it. And that's how it happened.
Okay, so you go down a list of basically every bank in the city. You keep hearing no, 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 but not a big deal because you're used to hearing no's. So you just keep going. Finally, someone is willing to hear you out. And before you actually get the pre-approval or the approval from them, you find this house and you say, I'm just gonna make an offer and I'm gonna get it under contract and I'll figure out the financing later. And so you get it under contract. And then you go to your banker. You're like, hey, I got it. Hello.
Okay, so that was a bit of a risk. You put in the contract. You did not have the financing, but you're doing it. She's moving prophetically here, trusting her instinct, boldly, being an immigrant. You've heard of her past, but listen to this.
Can you approve me? And they're like, all right, we're gonna make an exception for you. And then they basically fund the loan.
Yeah, they funded it. They were like, well, the reason why we did it is because it's not like your credit score is bad. You just don't have history.
Right.
So because my credit is fresh, so it doesn't have history, but it's not bad. And I don't have any other debt. I don't have any other expenses. I don't own a car at the time. I'm not paying anything except those 2 credit cards she told me. And I was already paying those off for 2 months before she was like, okay, we'll do it.
Wow, that's amazing. So you buy this property and you said, all right, even if I just rent one, I'm going to cash flow. What ended up happening? Did that property end up filling up more than that? How many units was it?
It's 3 units and it's a 2-bedroom. It's a mix of 2-bedroom, 1 bedroom. Everything that could go wrong in a deal went wrong in the property. Turned out the property manager, the numbers that the agent sent me were wrong. The tenants were not actually paying because it's a COVID at this time. I closed on that property April 17. It was already shut down already. This is COVID time. The one tenant that was about to leave, and there's another tenant that hasn't paid for like 1 year, and then there was 1 unit that was vacant. So them telling me they fully occupied and was bringing this much was all a lot. So what I did was the unit that was the tenant was about to leave was in a better shape. So I just painted that, just basic cleaning and painting, and then rented that out. So while that was rented, the rent was coming in. After there was an announcement that the city were giving out to people that were behind on rent. So remember that the landlord and everyone has lied to me already at that point. So the tenant that was supposed to get that amount of money, about 8 months worth of rent, was sent to me directly because it was supposed to be an application between the landlord and the tenant. So we applied together and she got 8,000. So I took that 8,000 and I put it to renovate the other units. And now it's cash flow for $2,000 a month and my mortgage is only $300.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
so a bit of a rocky start, but then you're able to sort of work it out. And out of curiosity, because you said at this time you were working for the CDC, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so was this like particularly a difficult time? Because obviously you're working for the CDC, COVID is happening. I'm sure you're busy doing your actual job, and then you're also getting into real estate. Everything is going wrong, so you're trying to have it. You obviously have to balance everything. Was that overwhelming, or was it like no big deal?
It was overwhelming, but it taught me so much. So at that time, in my team, everyone in my team is a lab scientist. So we work in the lab. I'm the data scientist. So every time a lab scientist go into the lab, let's say they go at 2 a.m., I have to be up by 4 a.m. to run the data so they can run it, so that they can get the report to send it to a particular state. So imagine all the data that's coming on all 50
Yeah,
states about
it's a lot.
COVID. Yeah, it was a lot. So I will be up at 4 a.m. I'll have my laptop waiting to analyze data while I'm also checking my real estate and trying to figure out what the numbers and everything. So it was not easy at all. But I would still be listening to podcasts. I was already in. I had to figure it out. But it
Right.
was not an easy time. Yep, it wasn't.
Right. And so you go on to buy more properties, but you said that you were sort of struggling. You were kind of saving, and maybe you had to send a little money to your family back home, and then you had to renovate this property. So how did you keep saving money, or how did you save money to keep buying more property? Was there a specific skill or strategy that you developed?
Yeah, so when I got that first property stabilized, I was like, okay, what next thing I need to do is move on, because I'm not having any much cash flow coming in at that time. So the property was actually cash flowing a lot, like 2001. But however, I'm not getting the money, like it's going back to the property manager. Turns out the property manager was stealing from me. Every time I talked to him, he said he uses his card to pay his contractor, because most property managers come with their own team. So he said he paid his contractor. For example, he said I paid a contractor $5,000 to do the flooring and paid for this unit, right? And I would just do my calculation, like the numbers are not making sense, but I know that it's cash flowing, right? Because the tenants are paying at this point. And then my property manager always say, "Oh, just this or just that." So I
All right. So for time's sake, we're going to stop there. And obviously, she goes on and keeps buying properties, dealing with challenges along the way. Property, management is stealing from her, but she's developing a good rapport with the banks. She's learning how to look at properties. All her properties are not in one state. She's looking for the flow. She's like, hey, I'll buy wherever there is a deal. And so that's a part of allowing yourself to let your mind expand. Wherever you live, don't feel like, oh, I have to buy a property there. Go where the flow is, go where the leading is, go where the opportunities are. And obviously, like I said, you guys know what she's making now per month. Definitely, Katie, finish that video. It is amazing. It just captured my heart. I've watched it several times already. I think it is just amazing. It lights a fire up under you to know what the possibilities are. It really just speaks to you to think that this young woman came over here with no credit, an immigrant, and now is cash flowing. I would endeavor to say she's probably at $100,000 a month. And I also love the fact that she didn't stop. She didn't stop at one property. She didn't stop at 5 properties. She didn't stop at 10. She kept going, and she's continuing to go. And what we have on the Toververse side of things is we have banks that you can get relationships with. The hardest part of any loan is the very first property. Once you've gotten that first property and you're paying on it, it's going to be much easier. You can literally go back 30 days later and say, hey, I want another property. And that bank wants to give you the money because that's how they make their money. Right. So when you start talking to real investors, they're not interested in paying off investment properties. Now, primary property is one thing. I think everybody should try to get their primary property paid off, but you could use your investment property to pay it off. So if those of you that are not in Toververse, not trying to sell you anything, but just honestly, just back up and look at the landscape. I'm telling you, when you have an opportunity to move in a cluster of people that are doing their thing at a big level, you want to get in there and ride that. So for those of you that would like to join Tavaverse, that you're not already in it, put in the chat that you want to join. We'll make sure we get a link to you. Okay. All right. So those are some of the main things that I wanted to go over tonight. I hope that this spoke to your vision, and that this is helping you to craft your vision, and expand your vision, and maybe think differently about it. Remember, a big part of success is knowing that I have to be a continual learner and unlearning things and relearning, unlearning things and then relearning, unlearning things and then relearning. My husband is like, turn off the lights. But anyway, it's about unlearning things and then relearning things. And that's what we want to make sure that we do, so that you can continue to scale, because literally we are like at the halfway point of 2023, right? So I know in my mind every day, I'm thinking like every day is intentionality. Every day is, working towards my goal. Every day is, I am very conscious of the fact that I'm at the halfway mark. And so every day I have to make sure that I am intentional about exceeding my goals. Yes, Katie, get a US LLC. Absolutely. At 1,000%, girl, 1,000%. So that you can really set yourself up to have hard assets. I tell you all, trust your instinct. And one of the anointings that God has put on my life is I am a futurist, which is why I don't have patience to, I could never be a therapist. That's not my grace gift. When people are like, I want to talk about what hurt 10 years ago, I'm not your girl. Because I'm like, let's talk about the future. Thank God for the people that will go back in the past and allow you to rehash those things. And I'm not saying it doesn't have its place, but my gift is to help take you into the future. And sometimes you don't have the ability to see into the future, but God will raise up people that are prophetic, that have insight, and that are seers into not necessarily what is today, but what is to come. And he uses those people to help us to navigate so that we will always stay ahead of the trend. I'll just share this little bit. Last year, when I was with a company that I'm very grateful for, love the owners, very close to my heart, wealth mentors for me, taught me a lot, and responsible for helping me to become, continue to make multiple millions. So I'm very grateful for but I knew I was starting to get nudges in my heart that it was time to go. And so I ended up resigning, and it really worked out because all of the events that happened from the resignation and to now, I didn't see all of this. I got glimpses of it, and I knew that there was a shift. I knew that there was a change. I knew that I needed to go heavily from digital assets to hard assets, but I had no quite idea how all these pieces and parts would be coming together. And I certainly didn't see myself creating a whole community to be able to help the masses do it. I was just thinking that this was something I was going to do. And obviously you all are my family. I was going to talk to the club about it, and whoop to whoop. And that was going to be it. And so now, it's kind of morphed into a whole thing, but I know that it is the Lord's doing, and we're just kind of navigating through this. And so I just want to make sure that all of us are prepared for what is to come globally, economically. And I believe that if we track and we get on course, that we are going to be very, very, very much set up for the largest wealth transfer that the world has ever seen. The opportunities that are coming to us are very humbling to me. Very humbling. I mean, literally every day. And all these opportunities are not just for me. I'm going to be casting the video. Like I told you, literally, right now, it's like Candace Texan said the owner just dropped it from 35,000 to 25,000. These things are happening all the time because I've made up my mind that this is what I'm going to do. And like Harriet Tubman, I'm going to take as many as people with me as I possibly can that have ears to hear and eyes to see. So I will open it up now and let you all ask any questions or have any takeaways from tonight. So Katie, you were saying, let me see, babe, what'd you say? Will you be taking more about the upcoming wealth transfer and the prophetic? And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that those of us that really get in on the hard assets are going to be really, really excited, because I'm not so sure. The stock market definitely has been like all year down. Crypto, I still believe in crypto. I think Bitcoin is going to be going up, but I'll be talking more about that. Absolutely. Okay. Any other questions or takeaways from tonight? Hit unmute. If you want to join, if you want to sign up for the prophetic business intensive, the link is in the Telegram chat. Let's see, how past pain seemed to direct her to greatness. Yeah, exactly. I think it's amazing. She's so hungry that, just an amazing story. Amazing.
Hey, Dr. Jewel.
Yes.
I just wanted to say really, really quick, just kind of like even what Angelique just posted. It was really interesting. About a month and a half ago, Marquita and I went to Cali, Colombia. And we had this driver that, driver and security that took us around the whole time we were there. And he's actually working to save money because he said, like, it made me really realize that America is really a great place to live, contrary to what many people believe, because you have people like the young lady we just watched and this gentleman that was in Colombia. Like he said, I know if I can get to America, I can be a millionaire. Like he knew that getting to this place. And I say that to say, I just challenge all of us, including myself, to seize every opportunity that's presented. We're very comfortable and spoiled and entitled, right? To, wanting the government to do certain things for us, or we just have the basic things and we don't really push like we really, really could. But there are people who don't have what we have access to, that know that if they can get here, they can get the access. This young lady, if you keep watching the video, she came here in 2016. She bought her first property in 2020. So from 2020 to 2023, in a 3-year time frame, she's at 6 figures a month. Many of us have been in the United States our entire life, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. And we haven't seized opportunities because we allow our mind to get in the way. And so I just really, really want to encourage all of us to really unlearn everything that you've learned up to this point and be willing to relearn so that you can see yourself catapult to the greatness that you're called to. Because a lot of times we'll talk ourselves out of moving on something, or we'll come up with excuses as to why, where these other people who don't have what we have access to negate all the excuses. Out of everything that girl experienced, she didn't allow that to say, this is just going to be my life. She made a decision and said, I'm tired of this being my life. So whatever it takes, it was a post I saw, and it was talking about how, like, it's hard to get up at 5 a.m. every morning to work out, but it's hard to battle a disease down the road. It's hard, so you choose your heart. It's hard to, change my mindset so that I can elevate my life and my family, but it's also hard to be living paycheck to paycheck. So you have to choose your heart and make those decisions. So I just really want to challenge all of us. Like, it's time to unlearn, relearn. We got a little over 6 months left in this year, and each of our lives can look completely different than what it looks right now if we just make a decision today. Whatever that looks like, whatever that thing is that is tugging at you, that you're supposed to move on and that you're supposed to do, get your thoughts out the way and just move on it. One of the things that Dr. Jewel taught in Pricing the Process, that's how I met her through her book like 12 years ago, was that you don't need an anointing to do what you can do on your own. So quit trying to get it to work in what you can do. That's where that prophetic business school is going to come into play too as well, because you're moving out of your spirit, not out of your logic. because a lot of times logic will keep us from elevating and moving forward. So I just, that's all I got, Dr. Jill. Just want to say.
That's good. Good. Anybody else? Feedback from tonight. What were your takeaways? I want to hear from you.
Hi, Dr. Jewel. How is everybody tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to speak on the standpoint of both sides because from Ghana to Kenya, I understand everything she said. She's amazing. We think we entitled to everything here in USA. That building so many things over there in Kenya. I have a grandbaby now in Kenya now, Lord Jesus. But nevertheless, I have property there. Yeah, she's a year and some months now. I have property there and I have a bank account. So that legacy is going to her. When she raised up, she's going back to her country and she's going to handle her business there. So I'm just setting up that legacy on that end. In Ghana, now I'm building, which you already seen. I'll get the video. I'm building 3 single houses and 2 bedroom houses on the same plot. So I understand what it means. What I want to do is encourage everybody on the line. Don't be afraid. Help me, God. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take the leap of faith. I'm going to a country I don't know nothing about, don't know nobody there, no, but a couple of people, and I took a leap of faith. And God told me I'm going to build a city. I just bought another plot. I'm going to put a daycare there for them babies. I know what God promised you is for you. My mind was in Detroit, but my body was here. I wanted to be there so bad. You all got some jewels. Now, I know the rest of those are her daughters, but I'm telling you from the standpoint of just being engrafted into the family. You all got some jewels that you never would get this type of information for the type of money that we pay. Come on, y'all. Let's be real. The type of money that we pay is priceless. My daughter on the line, me and her accountability partner. You better get your butt on that thing because you need to know what's going on. You need to know what legacy look like. You need to build legacy for your children. You need to secure the bag. They giving us more gems than really what we're paying for. I'm telling y'all, it's well worth it. It's well worth it. Take the leap of faith. Don't be afraid to jump out. Sometimes we look at a property. I have bought a lot of fixer-uppers and I'm like, oh, but you know what? I saw a jewel. I saw a treasure in that fixer-upper. Sometimes we have to crawl before we can walk. And I'm going to mute my mic in 1 minute. We have property that we almost own the whole block with the school. I turned around and I sold the building for my kids back to the school. You feel what I'm saying? So now I got double. Let me mute my mic. I just wanted to get on and just encourage everybody, strike it rich. This is your year to soar. You are finished strong. Your mindset gonna change. Just stay with the group. It don't matter if you don't feel like it. Hit repeat. Hit on Wednesday. Eat the whole roll because she is not gonna mislead you or lead you dry. Leave a legacy. Don't leave that money just sitting in the bank getting 2%. Let me mute my mic, but God bless you. Let me get off. But I had to say that because I understand the girl in Ghana and Kenya, they do sleep on the floor. That's why my heart went there. Didn't know I was gonna have a grandbaby there. But you feel what I'm saying? Now in Ghana, I got 2 bank accounts and got the school, got 59 students. I had to take a leap of faith. So am I taking a leap of faith in another country? Surely, as the Bible say, surely you can take a leap of faith right here in the United States and leave something for your children, because you never know. Like she's saying, wealth is health as well. Let me mute my mic. God bless everybody.
No, okay. So just to be clear, you've got property now in Ghana and Kenya.
Correct. I got about 16 plots in Ghana, and then I have a couple of properties in Kenya, plus I got a motorcycle business there. Plus I got a parts store there.
Powerful. And you just acquired all this year. You just acquired all this year.
In Ghana this year. Yeah, I built my house and then I had eight 8 other plots, and I just fenced it in. Went to the U.S. post office to make sure everything was legally registered. Then took the lawyer and had him go to the court to make sure everything was in the will for my kids and their children. So I just got another one last week. So I'm gonna fence that in and go on in. I'm taking a leap of faith because I'm being instructed by amazing people. You have put jewel and nuggets in us. We just have to take that leap of faith. What is it gonna hurt?
And you called me on FaceTime, and I was so impressed with that school. I saw the property, I saw the school, I saw the security there, I saw the surroundings, I saw the plans of what's next. I mean, just absolutely was so inspired and so proud of you.
But I thank God for you. I didn't have none of this knowledge. Think it big. Come on, I'm just being honest. I'm just pouring out my heart tonight. Haven't even read no books until I got in the Millionairess Club. Then I pulled my daughter in. Then I pulled my son in. They didn't have a choice. I'm just keeping it 100 because if anything happened, we have our family meetings. We got notebooks. I kept telling Kira, I said, Camille is brilliant. You better get your butt on there on that system because you remind me of her. You got it in you. Sometimes we got to just have somebody motivate us and tell them strike it rich. We're going to end our year strong. We got it, ladies and gents on the line. We got it. These our last 6 months. We might as well win the game.
Wow. I'm so proud of you. That property over there, just the school just blew my mind. The uniforms, the children, it was just so amazing to see. And I love it because that's one of the things that I want to make sure that we understand. We're bi-coastal. Nobody said you're obligated to buy an apartment building down the street from your house. If it's a deal, do it. But if it's not a deal, don't be afraid to do it in Chicago or do it in New York or do it in Vegas or do it in Kansas City. Because in a minute, you're not going to have to see the property to buy it. All you're going to need to know is the data. What are the numbers? The numbers make sense, and that's what we're going to do. But that takes community. Okay? So thank you so much for sharing that. Such an inspiration. All right. Anybody else? Takeaways tonight. What were your takeaways tonight? What are your takeaways tonight? I'm you.
Hey, Dr. Jewel, as my first call here, I just wanted to say that this community has so much value, so much power, and I just feel so blessed to be here. So I had no idea what I was in for, and just after that hour and 15 minutes, I'm blown away. So thank you. Just so many insights, so much inspiration, and I'm just really blessed to be here. So thank you, everyone.
Oh, I'm so glad you shared. Thank you, Katie. Katie is in Canada. Yay. Everybody, let's mute and welcome Katie real quick. Let's welcome her in.
Welcome, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
Welcome.
I love it. I love it. So glad you're on. All right. Any other takeaways real quick before we get ready to jump off of here? Any other takeaways? Hit unmute. Yeah, hurry up. Hit unmute. Hey, what's your takeaway? Y'all hit unmute? What's your takeaway? Hurry up, y'all. Come on. Hit the button. Hit the button. What's your takeaway? Hit unmute.
Y'all need help unmute, and I know somebody got something.
I know. I'm like,
I'm baffled. I am highly baffled.
So this is Letitia. Y'all know I will jump on, and I'm trying to give other people an opportunity because Dr. Jewel be like, somebody I didn't hear from. But I got on late, and I'll say, like, I'm so appreciative of everything, Camille, and I don't know the other millionaires that jumped on the end. Like, you guys are right in the vein. I always am sharing the wealth of information that is on here. And I definitely need to connect with the Topiverse. I didn't do it initially at the beginning, and I was sharing with Jamie on tonight. We had a call earlier, how you always share with us when you present opportunities to wait for the witness, you know. And I wanted to join Topiverse, but I was waiting for that witness because I had other things that I need to go on. But I just say all that to say is that, like, we are right where we're supposed to be. I have still, in the last 3 years, have not gotten the information that I received in this club. I've received it nowhere else. I'm talking to people in my community who make, like, one of my clients, she does like a $500,000 a year. She has a medical supply company. And I'm asking her about what I'm learning here in the Millionaires Club. She's clueless. She is clueless. So, like, what we're getting is priceless. Like, we can never pay, even if we pay out our pocket, the spiritual wellness. Like, everything we're receiving here is just, it's mind-blowing, it's God, and it's ordained. And even though, like, every opportunity may not be for you right at that moment, get the information, share it, and stay connected. Like, I was telling my daughter, I was like, I'm gonna will my Millionaires Club. I'm gonna will that to you so you can have it. Like, and I don't know if we can do that, but I'm gonna will it to her.
I love it.
Oh,
I
thank
love
y'all.
it.
Thank you, Dr. Jewel, and thank you to the team. Like, I appreciate you guys for being so consistent and just teaching us again. Because one thing I'll say, and then I'm gonna stop, is that, you know, we go to college, we go to, you know, we have all these businesses and do all these things for something we know so little about. And that's what I was sharing with Jamie about. Like, I wouldn't know when to move, when to do this, the trends, economics. Like, Dr. Jewel, you're the expert. I'm an expert in beauty, but I need someone to help me to know the very things that I'm in my beauty salon getting from my customer. I need to know about it. You know, we're working 80% of our lives for 20% of what we don't know. We don't know about funds, investing, but we're working 80% of our life for something we know little about. And it blows my mind, and it's just absurd. So again, I thank you. I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to these calls. So thank you.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much, Letitia. Love you too. Appreciate you. Doria said her takeaway is to act now and trust your gut. Absolutely. Yeah, because all that procrastination stuff, you be like, you be done wasted time. Like, we just can't do that anymore. All right, so we dropped that video in the Telegram chat. Help us to grow the club, ladies. Make sure you invite at least 2 more ladies or gents to join the club. Tell them, listen, the value that you get. Make sure over the next 2 weeks, help us to spread the word and get at least 2 people to join the club. We've kept the price very, 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 very reasonable because my heart is really just to see us as women, and particularly, I love the men too, but really see us come into a high level of financial independence and learn how to think for ourselves and trust our own instincts. So make sure that you do that. Natasha Venable says she needs to be added to the Telegram chat. All right, cool beans. Asha, Camille, if you guys get help with that, making sure she's in that Telegram chat as well. All right, everybody, thanks so much for jumping on here tonight. You guys have a great Sunday night. And if you want to join the Topiverse family, drop it in the Telegram chat. We will make sure we get the link to you. Have a good night. Love you all. Bye-bye. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.